Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I think this place used to be a prison. We're staying for a couple of nights at the Sofitel Resort here in Luang Prabang. Just wanted to check out Laos. It's a country I've never been to before. I also very nearly, did you notice I very nearly fell in on that first one? That's very wobbly. It's an interesting trip to get here. It took us the best part of a day really to travel up from Singapore to Luang Prabang, which is where this hotel is based. We had to go via Bangkok. There was a bit of a delay in the transfer getting through. I put more information on that on a previous video that I released on the channel, which I'll link up above here. So if you are traveling to Luang Prabang, you're likely to be traveling here either via Lao Air or AirAsia. They're the two main carriers that come into the city here. Luang Prabang, not actually the capital of Laos, that's Vientiane, which is a little bit further south. So if you are coming to the country as a whole, you may come into Vientiane, you may come into Luang Prabang, and that's where we're going to be having a look around over the next couple of days. So Luang Prabang itself is actually pretty easy to get around. It's fairly flat. There's a large kind of hill in the middle, which is Mount Fusi, where you can actually walk up to the top. There's one of the Wats, one of the temples at the very top. But apart from that, it's actually quite flat. So getting around either on foot is quite easy, or cycle, which is what we're going to do today. But the basic layout is there's kind of two main rivers that surround Luang Prabang. The first you'll know, this is the mighty Mekong River that flows, you know, over 4,500 kilometers around Southeast Asia. That's also met by the other river here, which is the Nam Khan River, and that flows to what I learnt recently is called a confluence, where the two rivers meet, and that's where we're going to head off now. It's a pretty easy city to walk around, to be honest, but yeah, there's a few Wats. Actually, there's a lot of Wats, the temples in this city. Would we call Luang Prabang a city? Yes, in this city there's plenty to visit, so if you want to get around and see more of them, then cycle power is quite a good option. We're also just alongside the banks of the Mekong River here. There's a place called the Viewpoint Cafe, which we might stop at in a second and have a look at, where you can see where the two main rivers in Luang Prabang meet. Is that called a confluence?
I don't know.
Isn't that where two
What's a
rivers meet?
confluence?
Isn't that what, when two
know.
rivers meet? Is it called a confluence?
I have no idea. Is it? Oh.
We're now going to Google what confluence means. So we were just up there at the Viewpoint Cafe. You can then come down here and pay about $2 and cross over the one bridge that appears to go across the river, one of two main rivers that meet around Luang Prabang. This is the Nam Khan River, and then behind us just there, that's the mighty Mekong. We were just looking it up actually, the 12th longest river in the world. 10 internet points if you can name the longest river in the world, or at least one or two in the top 10. You should be able to get that. But yeah, this is where they both meet in Luang Prabang, and you can pay $2 to walk over this bridge, which is constructed of bamboo, some rope, a lot of good faith. It makes a lot of noises, Andrew.
It makes a lot of noise, but I don't know how sturdy it is. That's why I'm trying to stay a little bit further behind you, so I don't think it can take up both of our weight at the same time.
It's actually moving quite a lot down here. I'm not just saying that for effect.
Railings, there's a big gap between the bridge part and the railing. I feel like I could fall between the two on the left hand side here.
There are big holes in the bridge as well. We're almost at the other side. Never in doubt, sturdy as a rock. you know anything about the history of Laos as well, you'll probably know that in the Vietnam War, a lot of Laos was actually occupied by the North Vietnamese army. And when that was discovered, Laos took some pretty heavy bombing damage during the Vietnamese War. In fact, at one point, from the amount of bombs that were dropped on Laos itself, it was said that there was a ton of bombs dropped for every one person who was living here in Laos. So that's the UXO Centre, where you can come and learn a little bit more about some of that bombing damage and the history that Laos has with the Vietnamese War. And for a country which is so beautiful basically and so friendly, and the people are so nice and welcoming, you can just imagine the devastation that they went through. Well, you can't really imagine it, that's the whole point. What I'm basically saying is, if you do have time and if you are staying at the Sofitel, that's only about a 2-minute walk around the corner. Well worth having a look at, just to understand exactly what these people went through. As well as the waterfalls here in Quang Di, this is also the bear rescue centre that they have here. And it's quite a sad fact actually, not just in Laos but in many countries around this area. Bears are bred in captivity and their body parts basically are used a lot in medicines in some cultures. Their bile is extracted, they're kept in small cages, and they're basically, they don't live a very good life. So this is one of the rescue centres that's actually been set up to rehabilitate them, to give them a better home, just get them outside some of those horrible cages that they spend decades in basically, just being used for human beings' selfish purposes, which I personally think is horrible. So I thought we'd come down here today to quickly check this out and give a little bit back to maybe hopefully help the bears have a bit of a better lifestyle. Wow! And then when you actually come past the bear sanctuary, you finally get to here. And then when you come up to the top, you're greeted with this. This is the top of the water source that basically feeds all the waterfalls all the way from the top down. I'm getting all spray on the screen as well, hang on. That's better.